This is a team I found on Victory Road. It won some sort of big Japanese best of one event, but it's really weird. Look at all these items. Like, every single one of these items is actually a little off. Specs Lunala with Wide Guard, weird. Covert Cloak Groudon, very weird. Sash Whims, very weird, because that mon's normally, Covert Cloak, but Sash is acceptable. It's still weird, right? Bolt Life Orb, it's acceptable, right? But then there's no Protect, so it's like, that's weird. Scarf Entei with Extreme Speed, but it's a special sweeper with Eruption Overheat. Okay, also weird. And then last but not least, Room Service Gambit. Now, speaking about weird, this team gets even weirder when you start to look at some of these EVs, right? Not a single Protect, right? Is this a singles team? No, there's a Wide Guard on it, but like, is it a singles team? Am I wrong? You could play this on Battle Stadium singles. It won some big Japanese event. This rental is up on Victory Road. Taking a look at this team's EVs, they're not optimized either. There's a 252 full speed Lunala, kind of weird. Groudon can be obviously split up. You don't need this much attacking Groudon. You don't need this much HP. It should be split up to put a little bit in Spadef and defense. That's a decent speed stat, but like, it's still really weird. Whimsicott can be 252, that's completely fine. And then the 000 for the Endeavor tech, like, oh my gosh, this guy's like literally cooking. Bolt can be optimized here. There's no reason to have like this spread exactly. You don't need this much speed. You could obviously take out about that much and put that, like, you could find a way to make this Bolt have like, you know, probably something like that and be a little bit better, but it's okay, you know, it's okay. 252 cruise control for cool, nothing wrong with that. This Entei though, bro, the freaking the modest Entei with extreme speed, like reduced attack nature, it's kind of ridiculous, right? It's just ridiculous. And it gets even crazier because this Gambit with speed investment and a room service, it's just like crazy weird. And I don't dislike this team. Like I said, it won some big Japanese event. If people know more about this team than I do, please think about letting me know. But yeah, I just think you should always try and use these really, really weird teams when you see them pop up. And I think this team has like so much cool tech. We were talking about this right before the stream started, where the Lunala, right? Knockoff is such a common move in VGC right now, and it's so good into Lunala. Like, imagine a situation where you're using Lunala, and you Terrastalize, and you like Moonblast something, and then you get knocked off. What they're not going to expect is for you to have Wide Guard the next few turns. What they're not going to expect is for you to have Moonblast and Dazzling Gleam. Like, this team takes what looks standard, like Trick Room Lunala, AV Bolt, Cloak Whims, and massively punishes you for respecting those options. So that's one thing that's really, really cool about this team. I think you should try this sort of stuff when it pops up around and gets shared around. So hopefully get some wins today. Hopefully send some people to the Shadow Realm. And yeah, let's just hop into these games. Wish me luck. Here we go. Is that a Vileplume? In the year 2025, they're using Vileplume. Now, Vileplume gets, he gets a few different things that are pretty good. Vileplume gets access to After You. What is that Vileplume doing? Why would they use that? Is this like anti-Sun Tech? It's still too slow. Gambit is cracked here. We definitely go Gambit. They have 2 Intimidators, and yeah, we rocking the Gambit here. We have to go I think these are what we're gonna do. We're not gonna address the Gyarados because that's a Vileplume. Like, Gyarados is definitely usable. We're gonna lead with those, and then I'm looking at what I would like to bring in the back. I think I go Whims here, honestly. And then, is it Lunala? Is it Lunala Gaming? It might be. I think Lunala's better than Groudon here. Groudon just gets intimidates Citied. I don't even think they bring Gyarados because they're scared of Bolt. So again, I'm not the creator of this team. I don't know the correct lines for this team, but what I do know is I'm not losing on turn 1 to a Vileplume. I think one thing you guys can be doing when you're playing your own games is pick something and do your absolute best to make that one thing not happen. I'm doing everything in my power to say, Vileplume, no thanks. I'm not losing to that. You can beat me with Shadow Rider, you can beat me with Zenta, you can beat me with Moxie Boost Dragon Dance Gyarados, but you will not be beating me with the Vileplume. Thank you for the Defiant Boost, I appreciate it. Oh, I appreciate these, please. Now remember, this team has no Protects. This reminds me of the time. Do you remember that time that we played VGC when I was like the most tilted I think I've ever been? And we played VGC for like an hour with this one Lunala team. And I just couldn't get any wins on ladder, and I couldn't make it work. And it had just like won some, or top got some really big event. And after playing with it for an hour, hour and a half, we realized it was a singles team for Battle Stadium singles. And that's why we just couldn't do anything with it. I still feel like this one might be in the same vein, but it's okay. I'm gonna make this work. I'm gonna Terra here. I think they are gonna fake out, but I don't want to get body press doubled up on. I wonder though if I can just double dip my... What if I just double dipped my Entei? Do I win? Do you lose if I do that? If I pivot in my whims and just rip it good. You are not clicking wide guard in front of an Entei, my friend. And if you are, that is a mistake that we will punish in future turns with the move Encore. So let's see it. See how we had the Gambit boost? We had it all. And we didn't need to commit any further. Getting the boost forces them to respect that slot so much that we don't even need to do anything with it. Fake out the Gambit. Yeah. Eruption D's, bro. Let's go. Let's go. Oof. Zenta almost down for the count. Show me that body press. The body press, baby. Body press Entei, good play. Not dead yet. Does that KO? You guys think that KOs though? That KOs. I don't think I'm fast enough to make it work yet though. They're gonna flare blitz this slot. So I can just YOLO Tailwind, bring out Lunala and start getting ready to clean. So if I Tailwind here, and I pivot in Gambit here, and we just lose them on. I vibe with that. This might be deep. I think Entei could have gotten the KO, but we'll see. Wide guard, there it is. The tech. I want to see if they're knockoffing my Entei. Lunala should be able to eat this, by the way. It should. Oof, good play. Oh, we're gaming. So they knock off choice specs. They knock off choice specs. Now that the choice specs have been knocked off, what do we do to like win out? Like, do we need this mon for like anything else? I think I can get away with like Moonblast here. Wide guard could work, it definitely could, yeah. I think I'm just gonna do that. I think that still KOs Zenta. Most damage possible into Sin here. Special attack drop, gaming. D-Gleam. Oof! Insin's almost gone. If you're flare blitzing my whims, you get KO'd, my friend. And if you're knockoff the Lunala, like, cool. I just bring out Gambit again. Yep. Can't stop that. Won't stop that. Don't stop that. You bring out that Shadow Rider, it's Kingambitito. Frappuccino, mi amigo. And I still got a big overheat Entei in the back. Hardest part of VGC for me was deciding if I wanted to play off-meta team or an on-meta team. But I'm so shit, I just went with meta. Ooh, well, I will tell you that we have Anti-Meta Monday going live. Going over the biggest mistake that people do when building anti-meta teams. So think about checking that out Monday, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, July 14th, 2025. The right play is Kingambit here. I'll be helping you guys out. Gyarados. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Long time. Long time appreciation. There will be a video for it. Yeah. All right. So I can get this Sin off the board. And if you go for a Dragon Dancetito, you got to be donezo. I think you double the Sin in case they pivoted out for Shadow Rider. You can be good with both. It's possible to be good with both. Now, there's no way that Sin has Protect. That's not a thing. You're not doing that to me. We're punishing here. And I don't think Gyarados EQ. Yeah, it wouldn't KO Gambit here. So let's see it. What you got? What you got there, Ben? Kowtow cleave. Oof. Oh! 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 Bro, that's so much damage. Can you not? Can you just stop it? Get some help. Stop it. Stop. Hammer time. Okay. What do we need to do here? Am I afraid of fighting Terra? No. I'm not. I think I'm just going to Moonblast and Iron Head. Sucker is good, but they're going to flip a Terra on, and we're just going to punish it. Showing up Fairy Terra, baby. Oh! You got Fighting Terra? If you're literally cooking with Fighting Terra, like, I'm so proud of you. I mean, Fairy Terra, but no, I could see it. Yeah, it's Fairy. Oh, it's Dark! I still made the right play. I'm still gaming. And we won. And we won. Moonblast, super de-duper effective. Thank you. Come again. Astral. It's a Kingambit. I don't know if anyone told you this is a Kingambit, but like, it's a Gambit of the kingly variety. And we take those wins. Scarf Entei? Specs Lunala? Room Service Kingambit? Wins up. Wins up. Kingambit is like actually, but Kingambit's still good. Kingambit never stopped being good. People just got bored of using it. Kingambit busted. Big busted. We didn't lose the Vileplume either. Bro bought 2 Intimidators to fight Gambit, bro. The topic of the day for the stream is like, what's the hardest part about VGC for you? That could be the hardest part that you currently are struggling with your game, maybe the plateau you're in, or maybe like what was the hardest part about learning VGC when you're brand new. Like, I want to know what the hardest part about VGC is for you, so I can then, you know, work it into my course that I'm working on right now, you know, the VGC Masterclass, and try and like write an article to help people that are struggling with the same thing. So the question was, the hardest part, or the answer that someone gave was, the hardest part of VGC for me was deciding if I want to try and play an off-meta team or an on-meta team, but I'm so bad, I just went with meta. And during our, you know, Pokemon VGC Masterclass sessions, we're going to have Anti-Meta Mondays where we break down how anti-meta teams work, and we're going to be talking this Monday specifically about the #1 mistake that people make when making an anti-meta team as opposed to like any other type of team. There's a completely different way to build an anti-meta team than there is to build like a standard meta team or a regionals team. It's a completely different mindset that people don't even think about trying, and we're going to go over that on Monday. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then on Wednesdays, we're going to be breaking down what actually makes standard teams good, because you can't actually know how to build an off-meta team unless you know what a meta team is. So we're going to be breaking down what makes standard teams standard. We're breaking down tournament results, maybe looking at a few different lines that different standard teams can do and stuff like that. So there's a little bit of stuff here for everybody. But if you guys have any sort of, you know, questions you want answered, or you know, things that you're working on with your game that are giving you a lot of problems, maybe some plateaus you're struggling with, please let me know. And you know, these are a couple of the different articles that we're currently coming up with right now for the masterclass. Like, again, do this before building an anti-meta team, right? This is kind of what we're doing. Like, this is the thing. I have like a couple different lines here. The second one is going to be never like go above like 80% of what your skill level is whenever you're practicing. I think that's a really, really good thing. I have a really, really good guide for that. And then it says how to beat opponents who don't play standard. These are 3 things that people really, really struggle with. The hardest part, in my opinion, is picking the lead and the 4 Pokemon. So again, that can be broken down into stuff that's this. So whenever you're playing, you don't really need to try to win immediately. What you need to do is play the game long enough to punish your opponent for being impulsive, right? And so you don't need to lead correctly and win. You need to lead in a safe situation, which will put your opponent in a situation where they need to reveal more resources, more knowledge, meet you at a certain level. And if they ever make a mistake, if they ever don't meet you at that level, if their 80% or their skill level still ceiling that they're putting up is lower than yours, well, then you understand that, you can realize that, and you can punish it. Pokemon is a game of resources. They can't do everything. They can only do a little bit with the things that they have, and how you manage your resources is really, really important. So it says making flowcharts, EV calculating, and evaluating how good or bad a given matchup are really hard for me. We can definitely work on stuff like that. Make plays that force the opponent to play standard. If you're not, punish them. That's definitely what it looks like. So let's let's go into this. That's why I'm loving Deoxys in draft. Yeah, Deoxys is a skill check, right? It's a massive skill check. If they try to blow up the Deoxys, they're going to lose. They're going to get punished. They're going to lose their tempo. If they try to pivot, and like what you need to do against Deoxys is create a situation where like, okay, oh, you're Deoxys, I'm a screens, right? Every single time your opponent, like in draft, if your opponent's ever using a Mon that has teleport, the number one way to beat it is to just go screens, right? They go into their teleport Mon, you go into your screens Mon, you screen, they teleport. Whatever they bring in is not going to have the value, and then you're going to have the potential to like swap out and then like reset the board state. So like, you don't try to break the Deoxys, teleport Mon, whatever. You don't try to crush it or taunt it or outplay it. You analyze the board state and you say, okay, this is a palette cleanser. I see that you're trying to, you know, get a reset of neutral. I will accept your reset of neutral, and we will go into the next phase of the game. Maybe I'll punish you a little bit. Maybe I'll do like 40% of the Deoxys health so that you can only do that reset of neutral 2 times, right? That's what you want to do, and people don't know that. People don't do that. People don't have the patience required. I think it's so funny. We're talking about patience today, and we're playing a team with no protects, and it is working absolutely amazingly. This is Lunala Sun with Ursa. Really like the Ursa that's been seen on these sort of teams lately. I still like Gambit here, but I don't think we have the tools to win this one. I wonder if they have Trick Room on that Flutter. Like maybe it's like Sash Flutter with TR. That would be really obnoxious. I don't want to see that. I'm going to lead with Whims, and what I'm going to be trying to do is lead Whims and something that can pin the Chi-Yu. I'm wondering what that looks like. See, if I lead Whims Groudon and they lead Flutter Chi-Yu and I go Tailwind, they actually still outspeed the Groudon. And I just get popped. I can pop a Terra, but that's not great. Maybe I lead Lunala. No, I think I can do... Yeah, I like this. All right, so we go Whims Groudon, Terra, bring in the Lunala, threaten Wide Guard on Chi-Yu. Chi will be dead. Now we out of Whims. I still like that. That's still good. Alright. It's okay. How good do we think Entei is here? We gonna learn today. Let's go. Let us see what our opponent has in store for us. Again, the team that we're using here does not have very good EVs. It top cuts some really big Japanese tournament, but there's a lot of little holes. That is a very unique lead. Okay, I really, really vibe with what they're putting down here. Do I care about Ursaluna though? Great question. I wonder if they're going to pop a Terra on that Bonnet. Groudon. Yes, Groudon Gaming right now. You get a defense boost on Le Bonnet. Okay. I wonder if they're going to double into my Whims. I'm going to P-Plates out. I don't think I need to Heat Crash the Bonnet. I think if the Bonnet's going to rip a Water Terra, he's going to rip a Water Terra. And it looks like he didn't. So I could have went Heat Crash Moonblast and gotten the KO there. I don't really need to, though. This is going to do a lot. He's going to live and get a Spore off, and yeah, that's obnoxious and that's problematic, but like realistically, I'm going to be able to Encore that Luna, and we're going to be able to wait out these turns here. Unless he's just attacking me, unless he's an absolute Chadwick gamer here. Spore is correct. So that play right there, I don't dislike that play. I think it's a pretty safe play, but you know, that would have lost to like Grass Terra Groudon or like Goggles Groudon. So what we're seeing with this first turn already is a proclivity to risk it for the biscuit just a little bit. I think you might have been able to get a slightly better turn there by using like a Terra. But yeah, Encore about to be coming in hot here. I think we're going to be fine. If you would like to pivot, that's completely fine. We have no rules stating that you have to do that or don't have to do that. I'm just going to stay with my Groudon. No reason to use any other moves. Might as well keep up the illusion that we have a choice item, because we cannot wake up this turn. So pivoting out there, awesome. You know, I could have Encored. That would have been a sick read to Encore the Bonnet reading a Water Terror. That'd been crazy good. Encore, Encore. And you're saying that's it. You just said that they, you know, made a misplay by disrespecting your ability to have Goggles or Grass Terror, but you disrespected their ability to have Dark Terra Luna. See, that's not a thing. right? And if they did have something like Dark Terra Luna, that's a mistake, right? That is a mistake that we'd be able to punish a little bit later on in the game. So right now, Luna Protect is off cooldown. We can make a read. Now, the really cool thing about this is, if I hit that Luna with a Moonblast, what do you have that you can swap in here? Bonnet, you're going to lose it. Koraidon, lose it. I think I still go after the Lunala, but you see how that would be GG, right? That would be absolutely GG. You may have answered, but I'm curious, as you are someone with a lot of experience, what's the most difficult part of VGC for you? Oh my gosh, it must be creating content, daily content, where I have to reinvent the wheel on a pretty regular basis. That's a pretty hard part for me, I would say. Being in the public eye, so like everything that I do, see, they just made the swap. So I also want to talk a little bit about this. Seeing the read and not punishing it. You don't always need to make a read and punish. Gotta hold yourself back. Gotta play with a little bit of restraint. Because there are values to display too. Again, like, I think we're super okay here. We can take out that Brute Bonnet whenever we feel like it. They're probably gonna go for something like a Sucker Punch into my Whims this turn, so I'm gonna Tailwind this turn and try and KO the Bonnet. But, yeah, I think no matter what I do when I play Pokemon, I have to do it under the watchful eye of a bunch of people, right? So everything I do gets dissected, and so it really makes you second guess whether or not what you're doing is correct or incorrect, and it just makes the game a lot harder to play. I really hope I don't get Trick Room here. So much so that I will actually Encore your Lunala and go for a Heat Crash here. I think if you Trick Room me, I lose. And I don't want that. I don't want that. You have a Luna. I'm not letting you Trick Room me, bro. Sucker Punch. Told you about that one already. I told you about that. Can I get a Wake Up? Can I get a Hot Tub? Wake up. Groudon. Wake up, Groudon. Wake up, Groudon. Come on. Oh my gosh, never lucky, right? Sheesh. Sheesh. Alright. I think mine is finding the balance between overthinking something or taking the obvious play. I feel like every time I overthink the play, they do the obvious thing, and every time I predict the obvious thing, they are ready for that. So, the perfect session for you is going to be this middle one that we're going to be talking about on Thursday. This Thursday, we're breaking down this and talking about how to actually know what the right play is for that situation. So be on the lookout for that. On Thursday, we're going to be reviewing replays and talking about that. I think Entei is probably fine here. Sun boosted, Fire Terra Eruption. You're not going to Sucker Punch an Entei. But basically, what we're going to be talking about in that is we're going to be setting up multiple different turns, reviewing replays, breaking them down, and talking about finding the safe play that fits 80% of what your current knowledge or skill level will allow. Right? You don't need to win. See, we also we talked about this. We could have made 2 or 3 reads in this game that we didn't have to do, and I would think that we're winning even though we're a mon down. That Lunala is trapped, by the way. It cannot use Wide Guard. It's been Encored, so we are going to wake up this turn and rip this damage. If they Sucker Punch Entei, they're gamers. Can't stop them from being gamers, though. Cannot stop. I wonder if they're going to Rage Powder, though. That'd be funny. Rage Moss. Ah, Water Terra, right? Great Terra if it is. Wrong Mon, though. He's Rage Powdering, dude. TY, my guy, appreciate you a long time, homie. Let's go. Eruption. Cool. They did not Rage Powder. Groudon, I think, has to wake up this turn. I think we just get the KO anyways. Oh, look at that. Oh, ooh, ooh. Big damage, bro. Big. See, all the different times we could have acted and played impulsive, we didn't need to. We played with some restraint. They do outspeed the Groudon, which is absolutely fine. Get some good damage in that slot. But they're hitting the wrong Mon. They're hitting the wrong guy. Groudon, wake up! Survey says never lucky. It says never lucky. Did you know that it says never lucky every single time I'm never lucky? It does. And it did. And that's the game that we play. I'm quite unlucky. P-Blade's gonna P-Blades. That's true. That's incorrect. Okay. So, Eruption. Last turn of Encore. Alright, so my right play here, I think we actually need the damage from P-Blades. Am I wrong? I don't think, I think high horsepower would do about 40, and I'm not confident that I can break. So I'm going to P-Blades it. Let's go. You take out the Lunala and then single target P-Blades. I know when I play Luna, I play a little bit bulky. I don't know if like high horsepower is a guaranteed KO in there from that range. And if we were even going to do that much. If I miss 2 P-Blades, I miss 2 P-Blades. Nope, I hit this one. Game. Cool. Great stuff. Last month's going to be Koraidon. We still have Lunala in the back. Could be like Chi-Yu. Could be like Flutter. It's probably Koraidon though. See how we didn't let them Trick Room there? How smart of a play that was. We analyzed the board state, and we dangled stuff on a string and we punished correctly. We love to see it. Speaking about what we love to see, I will high horsepower here because sticking any damage will be game at this point. Battle was canceled. Wins up. Wins going all the way up. Oh my gosh, it's so amazing. So yeah, if I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the questions that Jomi was talking about, you're talking about finding the balance between overthinking something and taking the obvious play. What you actually need to do is raise your current level of like understanding of speed tiers, mechanics, in-game knowledge, and how you want to play the game, and try your best to make it so you're 80% of your game. When you're playing like an 80% level, like let's say you're at a regional and you're like locked in and you're playing at 100% of your level and everything that you know is being put on display. You're playing peak, you're locked in, you're in the zone. You don't ever need to do that. You don't ever need to force that. What you need to do is just make a good play, right? Now there's the 100%, which is like locked in the zone. There's 90%, which is like hitting above your pay grade for your knowledge. Like you're making a little bit aggressive plays. You're trying to steal the wins. You're trying to end things early. And then there's 80% where you're like, you know what? I'm just going to get my speed control. I'm going to wait for them to mess up. That's a good play. It's safe. It's solid. Not going to overextend here. Not going to try and play a little bit risky. Just going to see what happens. And then you have like lower than that. You have the C play. Average play. Decent play. That's a sloppier version of what an 80% is. Like instead of, so like a C version would be like too safe of a play, like using Ghost, Terra, Prankster, Tailwind instead of just like trading fake outs, maybe getting fake outed on one mon. You don't need to make those reads. And then anything lower than that would be suboptimal. So I think trying to understand what 80% of your current understanding of the game can get you when you're just playing standard, and then playing at that 80% level over time, taking the L's that come with it, taking the wins that come with it, and then doing your best to consistently play at that 80% and holding yourself back from making those reads, those overextensions that can get you in trouble. And slowly what you're going to realize is you're going to see the reads, you're going to hold them back, and you're going to punish. And that 80% that you have will allow you to fight better and better and better people, which will get you better understanding and more knowledge unlocked, which will raise the level of that 80% and thus raise your level of understanding in the game. That's what we're going to be talking about on Thursday. So hopefully you're excited for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. I have a whole article that goes with it too, with examples that show like different things you need to be working on to develop these skills, as well as like breaking down different turns to show like, you know, the 100% read play, you know, the 60% like suboptimal play, the correct 80% play, all the different lines and flowcharts that can happen between a specific turn. And you guys can be working on these things in your own game too. Everyone can. But again, all this stuff is going to be a part of that masterclass we're talking about. It's going to be a big deal. It's going to be a big deal. We're putting this together. It's going to be completely free to watch on YouTube and Patreon. Sorry, YouTube and Twitch. But if you guys want to have an impact on the masterclass, it's all going to be set up through Patreon. So if there are specific topics that you guys do want covered, or teams you want me to look at, or replays you guys want me to feature as examples for this, so I can actually just fix your problem specifically right there, that's all going to be set up through Patreon. Jugulus is a Pokemon that seems to work for like everyone else, but whenever I play Jugulus, it never works for me. It gets doubled up on, people fake out even though they shouldn't, and so like there's something about that Mon. I really think that its best factor isn't that it gets booster speed, Tailwind, Snarl, it's that it's a dark type. You can't Encore it, you can't taunt it. It just is inevitable. So that being said, what do we want to do to beat Jugs? I think you want to lead with... Oh. They didn't want to get exposed. They didn't want to get got, bro. Yeah, I feel it. I feel it. Hey, I was gonna get him. I was setting up. I was creating the storyline. You leave Lunala, pivot in the Kingambit on the Snarl, and you just game's over. Cool. Yeah, we would have let Lunala, flipped on Fairy Terra, pivoted in the Gambit, and just sent it. Wouldn't have been great, but that's the line. Always gets vague out of, yeah. Lando's hard to use for a lot of people. It took me years to learn how to use Lando correctly. And I didn't start getting wins with Lando until about 2018 when I started using mixed Lando. What unlocked Landorus for me was understanding mixed Lando with AV. Instead of trying to run Landorus as like a Choice Scarf, aggressive, like Urshifu thing, I really resonated with like AV Lando. And then understanding AV Lando and playing a ton of AV Lando in 2018, when I went to go use Scarf Lando, I felt a lot more comfortable in its kit. So maybe if a Pokemon isn't working for you, you might just have to try it in a completely different way, or make it look like it's like playing the role of like another Pokemon, and it might really work for you in that situation. So this is a hard matchup. Shadow Rider, Zenta, Smeargle. I don't particularly like this. They have the Torn. Yeah, this team's all over the place. I really don't like the Smeargle. So I think you have to go Whims here. I think you have to go Whims. And that's fine. I think I'd like to go Lunala. I don't think I have room for Groudon here, though. I think Whims Entei, like, works fine. I'm going to go with that. And I'm going to bring the Lunala. And I think I'm going to bring the Gambit, but I'm not really that happy about it. And they know that I want to bring Gambit. But I really don't think I want Groudon here. So I'm going to bring Gambit. And I think this is an L. I think that team is a little bit too polished for this one. This team that we're using today is from like a big Japan tournament. Someone in chat was talking about how that team that we're playing against is the Japan Nationals team. So it's like, I wouldn't be surprised if someone's using a team from Japan that they also know what another team from Japan does. So, you know, we got to think about this. Now, one advantage that we do have here is our Tailwind's faster than theirs, and our Encore is faster than anything they do. So, like, honestly, I can just rip, like, Tailwind trade. I can just Eruption here. I think that's okay. Do I need to waste my Terra here, or do I want to pivot in Gambit? I'll pivot in Gambit. But then do I want a Tailwind? That's another good question. I think I'm actually going to Moonblast. Oh, ooh, 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 ooh. Okay. Oh, then you'll have the Tailwind stagger all game. Okay, all right. I see the line. I see the line. I'm reading the Shadow Rider making a Terra here, and if it doesn't, that's fine. Nah, we lost. Oh well. I tried to get cheeky there. That's my fault. My fault. 100%. Yep. And now they're going to taunt my Whims. Oh well. Why would it ever Terra? It might. It's definitely possible. Water Terra is pretty common on some of these teams, and that would be able to block the Entei from having like a massive impact. Some Shadow Riders also flip on the Terra to better block a couple of the other things that like Entei has. So, like, for example, they could Terra there because like the #1 common thing that people are using on Entei right now is Crunch. So if they Terra it into anything there to block the Entei Crunch, they get dumped. Like if they go Dark Terra there, it would have been kind of nice. That being said, do we need to Tailwind? I could try and Tailwind. Now they're going to Terra. Oh, that's fine. And they're going to taunt. Oh, cool. I vibe with that. I could have Encored the Torn too. I don't think I need to. Like, if you wanna go for a Bleak Win and give me a proc here, that's fine. Blind Hurricane, huh? Okay. I love Hurricane Torn. Alright. We are officially down one Pokemon. Okay. Let's see what happens here. I'm gaming out here, boys. Sheesh. Sheeshers. Show me that Zenta, boys. Well, come on. I wanted Zenta, though, right? I wanted that Zenta. That Zenta was about to be mine. Special attack boosting bolt. Not bad. SP, baby. Oof. If I doubled my fire tear here, I think I would have got the KO. Oh, I'm so glad I got that KO. Like, Entei is cracked. Modest Entei is so usable. Happy to see Gambit against Sam. Gambit is so nice. This is going to be Zenta here, right? Now, you have Wide Guard, which means you're going to click Wide Guard. And then you're going to Thunderbolt my Gambit? You think you're going to tear a double Gambit? It's possible. They can hit the Entei. I don't really care. I think by saving the Gambit, we can potentially win out. I think that like Thunderbolt body press in a Gambit is very good. And our Terra on Gambit is flying, not something like water or, you know, maybe grass or something that might have a better matchup in that situation. They are absolutely allowed to Wide Guard. Good play. This is still going to do a lot. Great damage to Zenta, by the way. Absolutely amazing damage to Zenta. And they're going to rip a body press, right? Crit onto Zenta Gaming. Oh! Look at us, baby. Look at us now. And remember, that tailwind that they got is going away. Goodbye. Last turn of my tail. I wonder if Dazzling at least gets a double. You know? What do you guys think? Let's see. They can protect. They're allowed to do that. They're big boys and girls. I think that's Shadow Rider's Ghost Terror, but I don't know. Great protect. Love that for you. So smart. I like that. That's a safe play. Works for me. I got a free pivot. Alright, you need to get this Gambit off the board. My friend. You need to get this Gambit off the board. I would like it if you didn't. Oof. Alright, so Zenta's gonna go down. He fast, too. He didn't Thunderclap either. He's going for Thunderbolt for Para. Maybe he has like Snarl or something, I doubt. Now we have the pin on Shadow Rider here. Hope I don't get parried. Okay. Sucker Punch pin Shadow Rider. We should be able to eat the sucker too. Am I wrong? Sorry, the Thunderclap? I don't know though. I don't know what that Shadow Rider's Terra is. I actually don't know. I have not seen the team. So I don't know what the Terra on the Shadow Rider is. I'm setting it up like it's Ghost. Okay. I want to see if they Thunderclap or try and Thunderbolt my Kingambitito. Double protect. Hey, this is fine. These are good lines. What if I Trick Room'd you here? You would have just lost the game. You know that, right? I'm just saying. I'm just saying out here. You would have just lost the game. It's okay. It's okay to lose the game. I ain't got no other options than that. This is the lines. This is the way. If you have those good Terras, those juicy Terras, this is the time to use them, like a double dip electric, maybe a dark Terra on the Shadow Rider. They're thinking about it. This is where I think you go double Terra, you double dip electric, and you try and KO my Kingambit, and I can't stop that. I wish that I could. It'd be nice to be able to live this. I don't think that we do, since this Gambit is not AV. On Fort. SP? We're faster than your Bolt? I didn't know that we would be faster than the Bolt. He's nasty block. Okay, that's fine. If I can KO the Bolt here, we win. Cool. Cool. I think we get the KO here. We are Spexed! Oof, bro. Oh my gosh. Team just works. Works when you work it. We should be able to win, because now their Terra's down. We still have 4 of these. 4 of these bad boys. You got that quad protect, bro? Battle was canceled. Wins up. Up. Wins up. I found a very unhinged team that I think you'd be very interested in. It's pretty hard to use for obvious reasons, but I'm sure you'd like a challenge. That's not actually correct. I mean, I'm actually really particular in the teams that I like to use when I'm trying to derive enjoyment out of the game. This team that we're using today is one of those teams. I'll go back and show the rental once again. I don't want to just use a bad team because it's hard. That doesn't make you better. There has to be like a thing you're trying to get out of every single team that you play with. And with this team, I'm really trying to get a better understanding of Entei and Kingambit in the current reg I met. I think they're very unexplored mons, and I think this team features 2 very unique ways to play them. So that's like the thing that really really intrigued me about this team was the Entei, the Gambit, and then also that like wide guard Specs Lunala to play around like knockoffs and stuff like that. I feel like a team like this has a really high skill ceiling for being how one-dimensional it is, and we haven't even really utilized that much of like the Lunala or the Raging Bolt yet. But I mean, you can tell like this team has the potential to be good. There has to be something that I really like about the team. Like, so you would think that a team that has like a really cool best of one gimmick would be like super interesting to me, and it's not, because there are so many little things that are specific about those teams that I don't. It's not the same, you know. Versus like this one, you have a bunch of little micro mechanics that it's up to you to figure out how to put those Lego pieces together. That's why a team like this, like a toolbox, is so much more interesting than, like, for example, I'm going to use a flowchart team of that Scarf Miraidon, Endure, Toxic Orb, Tatsu. You pivot out into the Dozo, the Tatsu faints, you come with the Flamigo, and you cut like that. That's a flowchart team. I feel like a lot of teams that people recommend to me are a lot of different variants on flowcharts. And like, flowcharts are funny, but like, why do I have to use it? You know? That being said, feel free to share the team, but I'm not really that excited about playing flowchart teams in most situations. And I am assuming in this case that the team you're suggesting is a flowchart team, or just uses stuff that like shouldn't really be featured. Belly Bolt. See, that's one of those mons that I probably won't use. It's really weird. Like, whenever a new Pokemon game comes out, I can check it after the stream. I can't click any links on stream. My computer will shit a new game comes out. New mechanics come out. New mons come out. And everyone's like, I can't wait to use Kilowattriel. And I can't wait to use Kingambit. And I can't wait to use Armarouge. And all these other things. All these other things that like a content creator would be like salivating to use like new mons. And I'm like, rolling to my sleeves. It's like, well, guess it's time to use Garchomp again, you know, like that's how it works, you know. Oh, it's like, I guess it's time for, you know, the same freaking set I've used in like every game. Like, oh boy, another Garchomp set, you know. I have just so little drive to play with like a lot of those underexplored mons. And I think that's on me, but another thing is like, if we had these formats for like another year, 2 years, maybe I would get around to using like Belly Bolt and finding a good understanding to use that Pokemon. I think Dapper, one of our community members here, made a really cool Belly Bolt team I did use once, and I was like, wow, that Pokemon is like way better than I thought it was. But at the same time, when you're as experienced as I am, like, I can just look at a mon, look at its move pool, look at its stats, and be like, cool, I know what that does. I would rather use this, you know, in most situations. But I don't know. Maybe I'm being too negative in that situation. I just don't get excited. I think that's the main thing. I think a lot of people would take that as me saying those mons are bad. See, you're saying like you're defending it, saying like it's decent. Not saying it's bad. I'm saying I have zero drive to like solve that particular puzzle. That puzzle does not interest me. And that's one of the things I really like about like asking people what mons they want to see me feature and like off meta stuff, right? Lunala, Zacian, Rillaboom, Persian, Arbok, Lapras. See, that seems too deep. I'm going to tell you right now, that team has inadequate speed control. That team has inadequate access to damage mitigation. That team auto loses to redirection. Like a Smeargle or a Torn or a Wims say that team has to... It's not that you lose. A decently played, in an average, like a 1200 player on Showdown that has either a Smeargle, a Torn, or a Whimsicott. If that's your team, what you're going to be having to do is you're going to be having to expend 2 to 3 times the resources, both in-game and mentally, to outplay someone that is playing on autopilot with two or three mons that are in the top 15, right? There's zero reason to stack an Arbok and a Lapras. I want you guys to think about building Pokemon teams, like building the ultimate chess set. Choice Specs Wygar, hello. It's actually really good. I want you to think about like building like chess. You know, in chess you get like the line of pawns, and you get 2 bishops, and you get 2 knights, and you get 2 rooks, right? Zacian itself is actually pretty solid, but Persian and Arbok, yeah, Zacian's great. Zacian's great. We did Teros with Zacian. It's absolutely amazing. The other ones are doing way too much. So I want you guys to think about building a team like building a chess set. It's a pretty decent analogy. Or you can compare this to building a basketball team, a football team, a roster. You're building something. And each of those roles that you have is something that has to be filled and optimized for the exact situations that you need them. So, you know, instead of having 2 bishops and 2 knights and 2 rooks, the team that was suggested right there has like 1 bishop, 1 knight, 3 rooks, and like a shit ton more pawns. That might work in some situations, but do you see how like it's not going to help you in like a vast majority of other things? Or that's the same thing in basketball. You're building a team of guards here, but you got no depth, right? You can't play big. You can't shove your face down and take it to the hole, right? So hopefully that like makes sense. The team I tried was Charizard, Torkoal, Great Tusk, Raichu, Smeargle, Ursh. That team's better, I think, but you're still lacking in like the speed control department. 14 pawns, a king and a queen, yo, right? It's ridiculous. So again, that's just like my thoughts on those things. And when we do our team fixings, which we do on Tuesdays, you know, we rein in those ideas just a little bit more. Does room service proc Defiant? No. It's only opposing stats. So like, you know, you can't like self-charm yourself either, you know? But yeah, I think that team's fine. Like, so I think whenever you're building teams, like you need to have a good understanding of what you're trying to accomplish and add the tools once you get that idea. You don't just, the idea can't be, I want to abuse bad mons. The idea has to be like, I'm like, for example, that team that just, Gum, how do I pronounce it? Gum, I'm just going to call you right there. But like Charizard Tusk, that's solid. Like Heat Wave, EQ, there's a line there. There's a thing that you're trying to do. You have fake out users, you have redirection. Right? There's something there that can definitely be optimized, but that's a decent idea. The other team with like Arbok and Lapras and a Alolan Persian, you can't like fight your way out of a paper bag with that team. So, you know, I mean, I'm just trying to be honest. And there are ways to make anti-meta work. Like, for example, have a series on the Pokemon VGC Masterclass that's starting this week called Anti-Meta Monday, where I'm going to be taking Pokemon that are suggested by members of chat, making teams, giving an article, and breaking down like a specific part of like anti-meta team building that like people need to be working on. So I made a team with random ass shit that people suggested. I optimized it, I built it, and I worked in a few things we're going to be talking about this week, and I went 9-0 on the ladder with it. Now, you may not think that like 9-0 is like that great, especially if you're starting for like a fresh account in Showdown. But you know what 9-0 isn't? It's not 8-1. It's not 5-4. It's undefeated. I didn't lose any games. And I was able to do that with Bear Tick and there's a bunch of weird stuff that people suggested, and we made all of them work. And we've got other knowledge that we developed in playing that anti-meta stuff that you wouldn't have otherwise. So you can make those things work, but you gotta have the right stuff. The team actually, and the restricted on that team is base form Kyurem, right? So it's like, yeah, like that team is like nuts. And you guys can do the same sort of things when you play games as well, but you really got to dot your T's and cross your I's. And it's a lot of that stuff we were talking about earlier, making your opponent meet you at a specific level and punishing them correctly. Yeah, I think this was a fun team. I really enjoyed this. If anyone wants to check out all the stuff we're talking about again, I'm going to shamelessly plug this until you guys know that at least go check it out. And remember, you guys can actually join the Patreon for free. You can join for free just to see all the articles, to get like email notifications when a new article goes live. Because I understand most people might not want to join the Patreon, even though it's $2 to join. But you might see like, wow, this guy makes like content like 5 or 6 times a week. Maybe there's an article that gets published that all these teams, all these breakdowns for all of these little sessions are all going to have articles that go along with them that talk about the specific mechanics and tactics that you're going to be working on every single day. And you might want to, you might see one like, oh, I want to know that. You might sign up. So you can sign up for free on the Patreon if you're not at all not in it yet. But yeah, I'm gonna keep shoving it down your guys' throat because I think it's gonna be something that it's gonna be really good. I think it's gonna be just great. I just think it's gonna be great. And I have not seen anyone take this sort of like initiative to create like this sort of in-depth VGC knowledge, because I think it's very different from how other people, I'm going to compare it to Brady Smith, right? Because I think Brady does a really good job of like posting stuff on Twitter and talking about these are like mechanics and teams you need to know and focusing on the gameplay first. Focusing on understanding your lines, understanding like the popular teams, and Brady's someone that's like top cut and won multiple regionals. One-on-one educational content without the time commitment of coaching. That's basically what this is, right? It's group coaching, basically. So Brady's absolutely amazing, and they have such good information that they share with the community on Twitter if you don't know. Like they're a great resource for people that want to get good at the game. The disconnect there is not everyone wants to play the game like Brady, and you don't even know that you want to play the game like Brady until you actually get good. So what I'm doing is helping bridge that gap between brand new players or players that are kind of lost in the anti-meta or like sauce, if you will. Learn how to play a little bit more standard to then actually decide for themselves once they've learned how to build teams, once they've learned how to play, once they learn a little bit more about the game. Do I want to play like anti-meta or just for fun, or do I want to take a more competitive route? Help people understand their own journeys with Pokemon as opposed to just, saying you have to do it this way, this is the only way to do it, this is optimal. There's so many different things you can do, and there's so many different ways to be good, and I want to help people find those and connect those dots themselves. That being said, I also think that one thing about Pokemon that's like really lacking when compared to like other competitive online games is we don't have like the infrastructure to develop like the healthy way to do things. It's not that it's like toxic or unhealthy. There's a lot of this is optimal, this is how it works, get good or get used to it. And I don't think that should be the way that things go down. I think you should develop a really healthy relationship with the game that doesn't have you plateau and yo-yo up and down. And I think that there's a much more calming way to approach a lot of these matchups where you take your L's and you learn from them and you actually get really excited to find things that can beat you. And then you look forward to those L's. And when you work that into your playstyle and into your training, like that should be a good thing, not a tilting. So yeah, I think that there's a lot more of like a sustainability, hole that can be filled by this sort of content. Like I was talking about, like daily understanding of like working on stuff, like regimented practice with a community. Like that's what we're going to be developing in this course. I've always been sad since I started. It feels like you go through your playthrough and then barely into the Pokemon the playthrough teams are so hard to battle online with. Well, that's, you're going to hate to hear this, right? That's a skill issue. You can make anything work. You can make anything work. Anything works. We won with Cosma M. 2 days ago, I won with Shiny Poochyena. Just dump trucked people out. That goes live on like Tuesday. We won. What other not fully evolved mon did we use? We used Surskit, and we won every single game. You can win with anything. You can definitely win with anything. It really just depends on what you want to get out of these wins. What you want to get out of the gameplay. Do you have more fun building teams? Do you have more fun winning? Do you have more fun like playing with your friends? There's so many different lines that you can go down to like actually learn how to play this game the right way, in my opinion. It's hard, but not impossible. But hard being as good as you is hard. I mean, no, I'm not that good. I'm not that good. I have more experience. That's literally what it is. I am actually, like, when it comes to like making the reads, acting on them, like gameplay, like, no, I'm pretty average. I have more experience, and I spend a lot of time team building. I'm a very creative team builder, and I think that is okay. You know, I'm someone that's qualified for Worlds multiple times. I've played the best. I've beat the best. I've been cheesed by the worst. You know, it happens. But I do have more experience than a lot of the players in the community. You have more fun building teams. Yeah, I think that coming up with those, I call them evergreen ideas. When you completely like separate yourself and your ego from the game, and you're just like out and about. You're on a walk, and you see something, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make this work. Like, you're on a walk and you're like, oh, I could just put Teeter Dance on my Smeargle and pair it next to my Serena, and Serena, you don't have to use Cleanly Majesty, you can use, or Serena gets Teeter, you know what I mean? Like weird combos like that. Like when you start coming up with something and it all clicks. Oh, that feeling is one of the best. It is one of the best. I built a team with Eviolite Magneton at one point. You can win with almost anything if you make the right plays. It's just a bit harder. I mean, it's funny using Eviolite Magneton because Magneton's best ability, which Magneton's a good Pokemon. I actually think Magneton is much better than Magnezone because it's faster, but it gets sturdy, right? So it's like, you know, you can make almost anything work. Almost anything. Like this, we won with this team today. We went undefeated and we didn't have a single Protect. Didn't even have a single one. You know, it was funny. It's really weird. We've had such good conversations today. Have you guys noticed that? We've had such good conversations today. Normally, I like to cut my videos up into like, here's the battle, here's the blah, blah, blah. Like, we just go into the battles, team preview. I think I'm going to have the conversations like in this one. I think they're actually important to a lot of the situations of these games. But yeah, I'm super excited to start all this stuff on Patreon on Monday. I think it's going to be a blast. I think, you know, we still need people to submit replays. So if you have any replays of, I would recommend like best of 3 OTS matches where you won or you lost, and you want me to break those down for you and talk about a few of your options there. We're looking for probably like, I'm looking between probably 5 to 8 games. So matches, that would be 2 to 3 matches. So, if no one else will submit them, I can just play some games and review those as well. There's nothing wrong with that. But if anyone wants help understanding like, hey, what could I have done different here? I don't see a line here, right? We can always find the line, or we can always make things as hard as possible for the opponents. I think that's a pretty important thing, and that's going to be on Thursdays. And then I have a team picked out for Wednesday that we're going to be working on for Standard. I think I'm going to be using Miraidon Zenta and talking about that a little bit. Still need to write up like the course syllabus for that one. And then Friday. Friday is going to be fun. Not fully evolved Friday. You guys want to know what we're using? We're using Phantom. Phantom, baby. Phantom. That is right. We are going to be busting out Phantom and dump trucking people on ranked on Friday. It's going to be so much fun. And I'm very excited to try and make that work. Love Phantom, by the way. I really like I really like that we start on Mondays with like anti-meta, like crazy fun time, and then we put our heads down and we work on Tuesday and Wednesday, Thursday, to develop the skills to understand how to use those anti-meta things. And then on Friday, we're rewarded with trying to dump truck people with like not fully evolved mons. It's so good. It's just a fun sandwich. It's gonna be great.